Okay, now so let's have some fun with some ghost stories here. Um, I don't know if you believe in ghosts or not. I've had a lot of experiences throughout my life that I basically have to believe in it, as in a lot of crazy situations that have occurred over the course of time. One would be back when I was a junior in high school. I wouldn't say necessarily a ghost story, but more I don't know what it'd be classified as, but um, we were going to a girls' basketball game in St. Clair, Minnesota, and coming back, there's a curve that was coming around as we were driving back, and I was a passenger in the vehicle, and all of a sudden this green and red light, like a ball, went up in the air, went straight across the road, and landed in a bush, and sat there and spun around. And it was like up, like I said, straight up, straight across, straight down. So there was no, like, wasn't tossed. It was like totally directive. And um, after we got past it, I asked the rest of the people that were sitting in the vehicle. I said, "Did you see that?" They're like, "Yeah." I go, "What the hell was that?" They go, "That they didn't know." And I said, "Let's turn around and find out." And they're like, "Hell no, we're not gonna go find out what that is." But I wanted to, but they didn't want to, as I don't know exactly what it was. Um, Then here's a tragic situation where a kid that he was 12 years old, I think it was, or and um, no, he was younger than that. Sorry. When I was a younger kid, we were walking through or going to a lake at Beaver Lake, and the kid was lost and nobody could find him. So then we end up developing like people chains. So then you just lock hands and you walk across the lake, see if you can't find the kid or find the person, see if you can't bring them back up. And we never did find him, but the divers and stuff like that found him later on. The story following, and this is kind of crazy. Like I said, it's a tragic, but it's crazy that he would be sitting in a tree on the parking lot of the lake, and he would just watch people as they come into the parking lot. So there's one time that I had people, friends of mine, that drove in there, and the kid was sitting in the tree. And imagine this now, the kid, a ghost is sitting there in the tree staring at you. And people peeled out of the parking lot, went down the road, and the kid jumped down, and he's chasing them down the road. He's running right side by side with the vehicle. The driver drives into the ditch because he's so freaked out. And the kid comes running down, and I know I can't replicate this, but he jumps up on the hood and just stares at him, and then finally just kind of disappears. It's crazy. So the other one would be when I was a kid. I was walking around town. I apologize for people that like cats, but I'm not a cat lover. I'm allergic to them. But um, we're walking around with a bunch of friends, and this cat shows up out in the middle of the street. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take care of this thing. So I grab some rocks. I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna chuck rocks at it, and or whatever. And so I go walking up towards it, and I'm like, okay, you guys keep an eye on it. And if it took off running, I was gonna take off running after it and chuck rocks. And I kept walking, 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 walking. I got about 30, 35 yards away. And all of a sudden the cat disappeared. And I looked back at the buddies of mine. I'm like, where the hell did they go? Like, we had no clue, no idea. So, yeah, kind of freaky there. Then, I move out here to Montevideo, and a close friend of mine and his wife live over in Dawson, and they're talking about how things have happened out at their house and such. And she mentioned the time that she lost her wedding ring, and she was this, very close to turning into homeowners insurance, and didn't know exactly what to do. And finally, like, I don't know, probably a week. I think she said week or 10 days later, she went into a bathroom that they hardly go into at their house. They never really use it. And they looked underneath the sink, and it was all the jewelry that she had lost, especially with the wedding ring, was on top of all that jewelry stacked, sitting there on top there, like next to the soap that's underneath the sink. I was like, what the hell is going on here? And then, when I lived out here, I lived out in a farm place, and, well, before my wife and I got married, and we lived in the same place, whatever, and I'll talk about that later on, but, that, even before that, I sat there in this farm place, they were talking about how it could be haunted. I'm like, well, how's it haunted, you know? And they said, well, people would be calling to the police department saying that there's carriages that were running around the yard light and hoof prints and stuff like that of horses and stuff like that going around. And, well, my dog at the time would sit there and just freak out and be jumping at windows, jumping at doors, barking like crazy. I'd hear that windows would sound like it'd be opening and closing, doors would open and close. Then the really freaked out thing was that that there's a rock. After I got married to my wife, we found a rock back there in the grove saying baby on it, is all what it said. So it was like somebody buried their baby right there in the grove, and don't know if that transpires into anything or not. But prior to that, yeah, with my I know you're not gonna, some people might not like it, but psycho ex-girlfriend was, I'm gonna give you a heads up, yes, she did move out here with me, and we were not married, and she lived with me at the house, and, we're sitting there in bed, and all of a sudden, felt this thing crawl up across my leg. I'm like, I jumped up out of the bed, and I'm like, what the hell is that? And she jumped up too, and I said, did you feel that? She goes, yeah. And I said, what the hell is it? So I went and closed the door quick of the bedroom and turned the lights on, and I was trying to find what it was. And I looked through the closet, I looked through all the way through the bedroom, but never did find what it was. But it had some sort of hair to it that just kind of rubbed up against the leg. But again, to this day, I do not know what happened there. Then, my dog would go ballistic over different things that would happen at the house, where she would cower back in the corner of a laundry room area and would not come out. And one time was very particular where she was just cowering in her kennel, and I walked in there and I was going to try to pull her out, and I literally had to grab a hold of her collar, pull her out of her kennel, and she had all fours locked up, coming out of there, and by the time I pulled her past the stairs, it went down to this cellar area, kind of like a cellar basement. It was kind of freaky down there anyways, but as soon as she got past there, she sprinted and went to the living room area where she thought that she was safe. So, with her knowing that she got past that certain area, then she freaked out and went ahead. But she would not come out of her kennel whatsoever, when normally she'd come running and see me whenever I came home. Then, let's see here. I'm looking at my notes here. Then I'd say probably the scariest one I ever encountered was, you guys remember from the nutrition unit that I dated that girl that had a eating disorder, and her sister dated one of the best fast pitch players in the state at that time, and he and I connected pretty well, even though I was a young kid and I was working at becoming a better fast pitch player, and he helped me out with a couple different things throughout life, and Irving just, give me a couple pointers here and there and whatnot. And, unfortunately, like I said, he's one of the best players out there. He died in a car wreck at 23 years old, and it was right out in front of his girlfriend's house, which is at that time was my girlfriend's house too. And this is the one I will bring hair on my neck, sitting there standing straight up. That after he died, and there's 3 sisters there, they're all in their rooms, whatever, and they came out at like 1:30 in the morning, and his name was Chad. And when they came to this room, they all met, and the one sister looks at everybody else and says, Chad told me to come out here. And the 2 other sisters said the same exact thing in their dreams. So 3 people were contacted by, so to be Chad, saying they needed to come out there at 1:30 in the morning, out there in the living room. And I still don't know what it's about, but it's kind of crazy that all 3 were told to go out there and meet. So yeah, my ghost stories kind of venture out and can be crazy, depending on how you perceive them. But I would have to say that I'd have to agree with that. Ghosts are for real. I'm not freaked out by them, but I think it is real. At certain points, just kind of, I've watched TV shows and stuff like that. I think it's fabricated, stuff like that. But so yeah, those are my ghost stories. Now we'll move forward with the next part of the notes. And so we're looking at OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. These are people that they might have to have their shoes all lined up in one order. They might have to have their shorts put together, their shirts put together. They got to be all lined up correctly with colors or whatever. It could be extremely, like it says, compulsive, that they might get stressed out over it. Somatoform. I'm sitting here trying to figure out if I'm going to get through everything here or not. I don't think I'm going to. So I'm going to cut it loose here after taking care of the ghost stories. We'll come back with a third set of stress unit voice lessons here, and we'll move forward with that. Okay?